This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods: time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family. The easy way to say it, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us and what we're going to be doing for episode 180 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, I'm one co-host here, the Sunshine Pumping One, Mr. Kyle Loomis, and then the co-host that wasn't frazzled again as the show got started and ready to go, prepared as always, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome, sir.
Thanks so much. You hold that title tonight. Just some regular dudes with technical difficulties, but we're here. We're making it happen. Most of you are listening to this tomorrow and at your own time anyway, so it's all fair.
Hey, listen, that's why we continue to let you know you should be watching the sausage be made live, because you can see the effects of what it does to me on screen pretty much afterwards. We made it work, though. We got it going, and that's just life of doing podcasting. I'll be honest with you, Austin. This actually segue us right into something I wanted to mention anyway. I made an appearance on two different shows this week. One that I've been on before, The Voice of College Football with Mark Rogers. We had a great conversation there, previewing Auburn football heading into the season, and similar vein, but we got into more than just Auburn football specific things on a new show that I got to be a guest on, the Run After Cast guys. One of them is an Auburn fan over there too. So there's a Mississippi State fan, there's an Auburn fan, and an Ohio State fan of all things. So it was a very, it was like, okay, Auburn, Mississippi State got to connect. Auburn and Ohio State. I don't know. It was weird. They're all nice guys, all great guys. But I say all that to say I made an appearance there, and we had technical difficulties galore that I believe I was causing on my end that I couldn't have anticipated. So I guess it just carried on over to our show here on 180, Austin.
Well, that tends to happen sometimes, and if you've been around long enough to know, Kyle and I will have a technical difficulty or a slip up here or there too. We're not perfect people. We don't claim to be, but here we are, and look, the sausage is made. Sometimes it's not pretty, but it usually comes out tasting pretty good.
Yeah, sometimes it does. I can't. I mean, to me, it tastes good every time, but I have a weird palate anyway, and I'm a kind of, I'm a sycophant, I guess, for some of these, cruel dad jokes and things like that. Anyway, that's what's been going on here. I want to ask you first, Austin, before we get any further. Are you in the game?
I'm not in the game.
We can't do the show. How are you not in the game yet?
As you well know, my time has not allowed me to really think about being in the game yet. So I'm living vicariously through you. Although there seem to be a plenty bit of people who were not upset, or were pretty upset about being in the game that I was following this week with some EA decisions on microtransactions and whatnot. But it seems like that's all gotten corrected. That's neither here nor there. But
can I be honest with you? Like, I don't know. I'm not online playing yet. I'm just playing offline right now. So maybe that's why I didn't see any of this, or I don't know. Like, to me, I 100% with you. We both understand what time we have to manage this. I have to do it. Because it's part of my job.
You have to. I agree.
I did tell Jessica, I said, listen, Thursday and Friday, I'm going to be a little preoccupied when the few moments that I do have a moment of time. I'm going to be playing a video game and playing it in certain ways and gathering content from that. I know it doesn't look like work, but I promise you there is stuff coming from it that is actual work. So that's what you got to do, folks. If you want to, make your hobbies, your fandoms work, you got to figure out a way to turn them into a business, I guess. I don't know.
I can picture how that conversation would go. And like you, I don't have the professional excuse. So I'm doing research for Kyle is what I would go with. And I'm going to say that would not go over as successful as we think it would. But you never know. I might get in the game here a little bit later, let the bugs get worked out. But I'm assuming I know you've been in. I've seen your videos. But where does it rank on the rendition of I guess in the top 3 that have come out since the return of the game?
I would put top 3 simply for this fact. I can play with Aubie. Like that.
Well, yes, but I meant like 1, 2, or 3. There's only been 3 since it returned, is what I meant.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's the best. Like
Number one.
I would just put it number 1 because simply for the fact that I get to play with Aubie again, and I already ran, Aubie versus Big Al, and he looks weird running out there. Here's one really cool thing that I love, and I don't remember if they had it in the last EA Sports. Like when Aubies are setting up to play, he's just doing random things as he's lining up. Like one Aubie did like a somersault, like at the safety position where I'm like, dude, get lined up. Like, what are we doing over here? And of course, like he's a 99, so it doesn't matter. He can do whatever he wants. They're all 99s. But I was like, we got doing that. Aubie, I didn't see if Aubie did the t-shirt thing or anything like that.
How great would it be?
It would have been absolutely awesome. Now, I will tell you, like, I am so excited to put out simulations for y'all about with the mascots playing each other, and it's going to be an even match because it's 99 across the board the whole way. Sure. You do have to play with each team. Well, not each, most of them to unlock their mascot. So, you
got some work out of you.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things you can do, like I don't know, play a 1-minute game, put them on, freshmen. Score 1 touchdown and down the ball, and then you're done. Like,
sure.
But it's fun. I would highly recommend simply for that alone, so you can play with Aubie.
So does that mean every week your simulation will occur of the game simulation with the real players, with Byron Brown, with Jeremiah Cobb, with Xavier Atkins, and then Aubie versus the Baylor Bear, or Aubie versus the Southern Miss Eagle? Are we going to get both?
I don't know. I'll have to think about it. That's really dependent upon the audience and how well the content does. Because sometimes I think there's just enough, everybody's doing these types of things too. Whether or not both of those will play well, I don't know. I do have intentions maybe to throughout the year just play Aubie versus every single person. That's like, as soon as I figured out I could do this, it's like, oh, we're doing every single mascot. Because some of these you can play with the leprechaun. Like you got a human playing against Aubie. Like I cannot wait to do that one. That's a preview for next year too with the game.
I assume that you could do that in like the older games with the mascot, but I never thought to try to do that with the Notre Dame leprechaun.
Well, think that you couldn't do it with James Madison and their Bulldog crown wearing, mascot. So you got like all these new mascots. I haven't really looked to see who is missing, like who doesn't have a true mascot, because some of them are out there, I think. I'm sure we're missing 1 or 2 things, but yeah, I got some work ahead of me. I got to win a game as each of these teams. I've already won one as LSU, as Florida.
Does Texas A&M? I don't think they have like a mascot.
Oh, that's a good one. I got to figure, unless it's a yell leader. I got to see if they put the yell leaders in there. His eyes.
That'd be worth it to play against them just for their like a line draw or a line tackle right across the middle. Just lay them out.
And they get out and just, whatever it is.
They just get out and yeehaw!
One more time. What do they do?
Nope. That was it. That was one time. You can clip that and rewind it if you want. A&M. I think A&M is the only one I can think of, like off the top of my head, that doesn't have like a suit as a mascot.
I'll have to do some research and maybe we can talk about it next week. But just like as a, reasons to get in the game if you're an Auburn person, obviously play with the new team, new scheme, new offense, all that stuff. Xavier Atkins is fun to play with. Hey, you can now stripe and power stripe the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man. Hey, I know you may not like to participate in person with that. It may be annoying to you, but it's kind of cool.
You can at least see like the full-on dream of what it's supposed to be if perfectly executed, if you do it in the game.
Sure. But we'll have more content of that coming out throughout the week. So
this is a nitpicky question. Is the student section like taken into account? Like, let's say you, I don't know, like, are they in their section if you were to do certain colors?
Well, if you remember, the power stripe was done very smartly where it gave the majority of them like white, I think it was. So it made it very easy for them. So I need to do some more research on that. And like I said, when I started playing, I get all these ideas that I want to do for you guys. Again, it's a contingent upon y'all continue to watch it and, clips and things like that. If you show up, we will continue to produce the content. So I have tons of ideas for like comparison videos, things like that. But, simulations I know is mainly what people want and things like that. So they're on the way, plenty in the game stuff. I didn't anticipate to, hijack our entire intro talk with that. Anything for you this week?
No, not really. I love it. That's great. And yeah, I mean, I look forward to getting onto it at some point and maybe getting to play with someone at some point. We'll see if it makes its way into our house to be in the game.
I need it because we didn't play last time.
I know.
And we got to do that. And I think people would pay to see the two of us play each other. Like let's just.
it'd be pay-per-view worthy.
And we could do Aubie versus Aubie and have just that be the most
chaos
thing. Absolute chaos. Did you intercept me or did I intercept myself?
I have such fond memories though of doing Aubie versus Aubie with my brother growing up, and we're not going to fight about it. We're just going to both be Aubie, and we're going to just see what happens. And that's what it is. It's just a bunch of Aubie craziness, which is about as what you could expect if there were 22 Aubies on a field.
That's true. Hey, one last thing, since we're just in the game Aubie kick here. Did you know that the Aubie is following us on TikTok now?
How about that?
He's been on some of the TikTok streams. Now, listen, I've been fooled before, but I'm pretty sure this is the legit account. And so here I could be just, showing how stupid I am, but I think it's legit, man. He says
the simulations. It's the mascot simulations, man. He wants to see more.
He's been there hanging out with us from time to time and offered up some opinions. And, it's been interesting. And we're happy to have Aubie along for the ride. I mean, he is a real tiger and all that. So it just makes it extra special that we get to talk with a real live tiger.
That's right.
All right, let's get going, sir. We got plenty to talk about this week, even during the summer. They blessed us with quite a bit of, big news stories to talk about this week. I feel like once again, though, we're going to talk about this subject, Austin, and something else is going to drop around track and field that we're going to have to readdress next week, which I'm thankful that things got figured out very quickly, which I think was our assumption if you kind of followed what we went with last week. The news this week, brand new head coach for Auburn track and field across the men's and women's program, including the cross-country programs, is going to be promoting and now head coach and then assistant coach. Ken Harnden will take over, and rightfully so. If you followed him, you know how highly regarded he's been, not just here, but at Tennessee previously. I mean, this guy's been just priming for this opportunity. I think at his press conference even said, we've been praying for this opportunity for quite some time. And you got a chance to see his press conference. We've got that available for you. But your new head coach for track and field, Austin, is Ken Harnden, and it's a fun times for the track and field program.
Very fun time. Yeah, we hinted at it, alluded to it last week, hoping that might be the case. I think that was certainly my choice. I think while certainly you should give a ton of credit to Coach Leroy Burrell for elevating this track program as a whole and everything about it and getting them back on a premier national stage. I think you'd be remiss to not see that the sprinters were a really big part of that. And Coach Ken Harnden certainly had a big hand in that. Well, obviously, there's Jacoby Tharp and the 4x100 team and all the direct successes you can point to. But I think if you look at his, like you mentioned, his tenure across the SEC and across in the sport for a long time, this is a move that many could see coming at somewhere. And we're thankful it's at Auburn because I think he's going to do a phenomenal job, like you said. Obviously, the excitement from his press conference and being able to see how much it means to him and his family is always so encouraging and just feel good to see someone rewarded like that. So very, very excited for Coach Harnden and his family and can't wait to see how they continue to grow this Auburn program and keep it on the right track.
Well, I think sometimes when you see a promotion within a program, the conversation comes up, well, is this just part of the easy thing to do or things like that? But no, this person has earned their opportunities here at Auburn, elsewhere, and it just makes the most sense. And as we've talked about in a lot of our conversations about other sports, continuity is a big thing, especially when you have a sudden transition as you just did. So I think this is a win in a lot of categories. That's the name that came up across a lot of our content when we were addressing the Leroy Burrell departure. So it makes a lot of sense. I think there's not going to be too many qualms about it from anybody out there. And if you do, you're going to have to really make a good case that qualm is legit. So it makes a lot of sense. And just as a final addressing, because we've had to address these things a week after the fact. A lot of you, if you heard last week, we addressed, with Leroy Burrell leaving. We had kind of confirmation from Coach Ken Harnden when he was asked that in his press conference, the sudden departure of why that may have happened. And that Coach Burrell, that's a home for him. The Texas area. Certainly, he spent previous time at Houston. Texas A&M is not that far. Well, I know Texas is a big state, but not that far from it, considering the proportions of that. So it just makes a lot of sense for him. I think that's kind of what you really need to chalk this up to. There shouldn't have been any panic or things like that. And as sometimes the quiet can be a little bit unnerving, maybe it just means things are being taken care of. And that was the case here. So Coach Ken Harnden, welcome and officially as a new head coach. And we're looking forward to covering you and the new heights and leaps. I'm trying to make other analogies there that I'm not.
You're doing great. You're ahead. I think you just stick right there.
We're excited to see how you bring us across the finish line. There we go.
Okay, that's good. That's very nicely well done.
All right, let's talk about probably some of the more recent news for Auburn sports that people are focused on right now, and that's the MLB draft. That concluded today, I believe, right? There's no more draft.
No, we're done.
20 rounds-ish, because there's like a supplemental round here and there and all that kind of stuff. So this is one of those days, I think, that if you're an Auburn fan, Auburn baseball fan specifically, you need to learn to balance the celebrating of what this means for your program, but also it's a little worrisome to see some of your talent that helped you do as well as you did leave. So it goes both ways. You can be disappointed we're losing all this talent, but unless you are having this talent really desired by the MLB, are you really having a successful program? So just want to throw that out there at the start and give you the information that we have on hand here. First, for the Auburn Tigers, Chris Rimbert went to the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 2nd round. Alex Petrovic, 6th round, New York Mets. Ryan Hetzler, 7th round, LA Angels. Still want to call them Anaheim and California Angels, to be honest.
Yep.
No, California for me.
I know.
Like, the Angels in the Outfield movie. That's one of my favorites. Eric Guevara to the Miami Marlins. Drew Whalen to the Seattle Mariners in the 9th. The previous one was the 7th, too. Garrett Brewer, 12th, Colorado Rockies. Jet Johnston, 13th, to the Detroit Tigers. So before we talk about maybe the impact on the program, Austin, what sticks out to you from this MLB draft? Anybody go too high, too low? Anybody surprised? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, everybody's a different team, right? So that's kind of interesting.
No Braves.
Especially with no Braves, but with 20 rounds, it's kind of surprising to see that many different teams select, I guess, or 7 different teams select 7 different guys. So very cool to see. I think that I was a bit surprised Eric Guevara hung around as long as he did.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people expected him to go early on day 2, more in where Petrovic ended up, but he slides a little bit, but I think he ended up in a great spot with Miami. A lot of good potential there for him. And then I think you look at guys who were injured or maybe didn't have the years we hoped they would, and Drew Whalen and Garrett Brewer. Yeah. But still are getting drafted based on a lot of potential. So very excited for those guys. And it's a second consecutive year. I think Auburn's at 7. So correct. Like you mentioned at the beginning, just speaks a lot to the program. Butch Thompson, this team has built and built quality men, but quality players as well to be drafted to continue their professional careers. So very exciting. I think too, I don't have their names and positions and drafted, but I think we'd be remiss to not mention 2 signees also selected pretty high, which is also like it plays hand in hand with the kind of twofold card you're dealt when you, like you mentioned earlier, when you're looking at a program, you attract these guys and you get these guys really excited to be a part of your program. But if they're very highly thought of, they can end up never making it to campus and being 2 pros as well. So I think that
you boys are very excited about this MLB.
Very excited for the MLB draft class. They will be asking me their names when all 7 make it to the big leagues. Daddy, what's his name? Daddy, what's his name? So
is that
I'll be able to tell them.
Is that?
I'll be able to tell them they saw them late at night at Plenson Park in the regional championship. So anyway, the two signees, exciting for them. They'll join the illustrious list that Butch Thompson's compiled here of guys who he got to commit but couldn't make it to campus and end up superstars. Hopefully, some of these 7 though that did put on an Auburn uniform also become superstars in their own pro careers. Just very exciting to see that many guys drafted, and we gawk at 20 rounds. I think it used to be a lot longer. But 20 rounds is insane. It still is, and that's a lot of guys. However, to get 7 on your list from an SEC program like Auburn is still a very big accomplishment. So very, very excited. Congrats to all of them.
Yeah, my takeaways would be kind of what I started with. Let's not start this panicking one way or the other. You need to learn to celebrate what this means, even if it does cause some roster situations that have to be handled down the line for you for the next season. I think it's a little bit surprising that Guevara went at lower than expected. Part of me started kind of hoping that meant he would come back, and I don't think any of these guys right now would be expected to return.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's what we sitting here on a Sunday night right after the MLB draft know. Maybe we're proven wrong by the time you've seen or heard this, but those would be my general takeaway. I'm very happy for Drew Whalen because it was very disappointing when he went down as strong as he was in that bullpen for Auburn, and you saw Auburn just picked up the pieces and kept moving. That's just a testament to that pitching staff, but I think you see how well regarded he is, the fact that he was drafted. And as I said previously, nobody with the Braves, at least no official former Auburn Tigers with the Braves, which is a disappointment to you and I, as you're a bit more of a Braves fan than I, but so.
It is. And I'm just reading up on, I should have mentioned a third signee was also drafted. So 10 guys. So we'll certainly root for them. But yeah, no Braves. We went Padres and just about everybody in their division. Except Atlanta.
Phillies is missing.
Phillies is missing. You got a lot of guys elsewhere, but that's more fun. That's more fun to keep track of when they hopefully make their major league debuts and Auburn can update their number on the wall.
Yeah,
it's a lot more teams to kind of find a guy you can root for on.
I will say though, I don't know why when I saw the pick come in for Chris Rembert, like he was going to be the first one off the board for Auburn. We all knew that. But when it saw Pittsburgh, I was like, that just fits him for some reason. I don't know why. Like, there's no reason for me to think that. But when that came across, I was like, I'm going to see Pittsburgh, and there it was. So I've always had kind of a weird affinity towards them as a secondary baseball program, baseball team for the MLB. So I'm definitely going to pay attention to Chris Rembert. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, being with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Still a Braves person, folks. Chill out. But we all gotta, we follow our Auburn folks everywhere we can and support them. So those are your new guys heading off to the MLB. Good luck to them, and we'll continue to see how their careers progress in the future. Now, we had a big week with athletics general news, and we may not get to all these things, but I think I'm going to talk about the first thing that's probably the biggest interesting note, and I did not have it on my bingo card from Monday. It's very rare that you see Auburn and Alabama ever agree upon anything, more so collaborate in things that aren't important. We've certainly seen during times of crisis or tragedies or things like that. Even the most fiercest of enemies, including Auburn and Alabama, can come together. This time, though, I believe it was Monday, Auburn and Alabama released a joint statement together. Again, just the fact that they put that thing together is just weird. It says to oppose the Protect College Sports Act and urge the Senate not to advance it in its current form. So I know what we're doing right now, Austin. We're opening up a can of worms.
Yes, we are.
We're opening up politics, all that stuff. So I'm just looking at you all on the camera right now. If you're listening, imagine me staring straight at you. Leave your stupid politics out of this. I'm sorry. Now, we are going to talk about this because it's related to Auburn. But I don't care if you're right, left, get out of here. Get out of here with that. Anyway, so here we are. What do we make of this? Because supposedly Tommy Tuberville was pushing something like this. I don't know if he supported this or not. That's how much I didn't really care about this until I saw Auburn and Alabama did it together. Right. What do we make of this, Austin? Is it simply we wanted government intervention, now we don't? I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's always eye-opening, right? When we see Certain, obviously, Auburn and Alabama tied to something in the same vein. I don't know if you heard the same segment of our favorite radio show as I did on this.
I did, but I can't remember exactly what. I think their take was maybe similar how we started here. Like, what do we do with this?
Yes, it's kind of like, wow, this is, they must feel strongly about this. If we're gonna both put our logos on something, if we're gonna both put our name on something, so yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to the emphasis they both feel on this bill and this act not passing. I'll be very honest with you. I have not looked into the bill hardly at all. I don't have an opinion on it. I do not care about it until it's kind of like recruiting. I don't care that much until something's official one way or the other. When a guy is committed, I'm like, that's good. Let's see if he signs. If he signs with us, great. If he doesn't, oh well. If this bill becomes a law, great. Let's find out about it. If it doesn't, I just really I'm not all that for it, or I don't really care that too much about it. So I have not looked into it that much, to be honest with you. But what we're talking about here, and what I think we should spend our time is the emphasis Auburn and Alabama both feel about it. I think they obviously feel strongly enough to be vocal about their displeasure in it, in it going forward, to put out a joint statement. So, like you mentioned, I think that this has a lot to do with probably, we've all seen what college athletics can be and maybe is heading toward in this current stage. And I think a lot of people have clamored for notable people in the sport, especially football, have clamored for government intervention. And now we're here and it's kind of like, well, we didn't want that much. And I think that's, or maybe it's being tied to some other things too, that don't closely align with the sport. All that said, I think Auburn and Alabama feel strongly enough about this to make sure this is put out there publicly, because I don't think you'd be doing something like this with your rival, regardless of how you feel about each other on the field aside. I just think they feel that strongly enough about it to have the kind of leadership in place of athletics and academic institutions to come together and join hands on it.
When your presidents, including our president, Chris Roberts, and then both your president pro temps of your board of trustees sign off on this together, logos, everything, that says something to me. So I like you, I don't care that much to look into it. I'm going to trust that these two universities that want to send a message together understand that this is not what needs to happen, and just move forward and not get into political squabbles and things about it. College football, college athletics is an interesting time. I just learned to enjoy it for what it is and not lament about it too much. But we certainly wanted to address it because it was a big news story to start off last week, and we couldn't let that go without the opportunity to at least address it here with you all. I am going to call an audible for us because I was literally about to make the comment. First show without
football commit.
Football we got commit. One. We got one, and I asked you in pre-show, did we forget anything? And we both forgot about it almost. We do. Again, I feel like this is the 8th show in a row this summer, late spring, that we have had the opportunity to talk about an Auburn football commit in the 2027 class. This one's name is James Branch. And Austin, where is he from?
The great state of Maryland. Even better. Say, oh shoot, I'm missing.
You got it.
Francis Academy.
There it is. Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was forgetting which saint it was. That muscle memory.
That muscle memory was going to kick in because, no joke, folks, this is like the 5th, 6th time I feel like not only have we talked about Maryland, but like this specific school too.
Yeah.
So whoever is at St. Francis, whatever relationship y'all got with Auburn, let's keep this thing going, man. Like I'm digging it. Auburn just going into the DMV. Talked to someone this week about this topic, and they were just, reiterating with me, like, yeah, I mean, people forget that this is a major hub for talent. So no shock here. So again, that's a major story on this. James Branch, about the specifics, he is a defensive back. Most people are going to put him as a safety, depending on where you look, measurable somewhere in the 6'3", 3.5, 210-ish type of build.
Big boy.
He's a big boy. So let me ask you that, because I did see some conversation around him this week, comparing him to the size of a linebacker at safety. Now, safeties by nature, if that's what he ends up playing at Auburn, need to have a little bit more meat on their bones. They're maybe not as quick as your cornerbacks. what do you think about this? Because I'm always a big stressor of don't pigeonhole these guys into certain positions. Why I talk about them as a defensive back rather than a safety. But are we talking about a guy that maybe have an opportunity to go linebacker too if he continues to put on some weight? I'm speculating.
I mean, I think he could. You see what he is already in a high school weight program. You never know what happens when you get into a D1 SEC weight program with nutrition and all the things that includes that. But I think you have to love his measurables for what he is already in high school playing the safety position. We stress this all the time, especially every single time Auburn decides to pluck from their minor league affiliate, St. Francis Academy, is that DJ Durkin loves his guys. And when he hones in on one, he usually gets them, and he usually knows exactly how he's going to use them. So I would not be surprised if he plays anywhere, safety, linebacker, or anything else that DJ Durkin has in mind. He certainly has the measurables to continue to grow, to play in this league. And he could be one. I know we all kind of smirk and toss our eyes back at 3 stars in this day and age, but you never know which ones kind of end up growing more. These guys are still in their teen years and have lots to grow and lots to work on. So linebacker, safety, if he's a safety, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot if you're back there. So it could be good.
Think about this. Sylvester Smith plays that specialty defensive back position, and he's popped some people. So we might even be looking at a situation right there where he's just so versatile, because I don't know where his quickness lines up with his measurables. But if we've got a guy with that size and speed, I mean, that's just a weapon that you can utilize. Pretty much throw him out there, see what he can does. So, and we'll just obviously have to wait and see. But another exciting one for Maryland, for Auburn in the 2027 class. It continues, man. And I think I think we can say it from our good friend Trevon Reed. We ain't done yet at this point.
That's right.
Do you want to get in our time, our last one we had there, or do you want to save that for another time for potpourri? You feel like it's appropriate to address it here?
Sure, we can do it.
All right, real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick, we should address this week. It was another athletics announcement of a big year for Auburn with their fundraising, primarily through Tigers Unlimited. If you're a donor, season ticket holder, all that kind of stuff. Last year, they set the record. This year, they broke it. And this time, if you participated in any way, and that way you participated to a record-breaking $93.1 million in the fiscal 2026 year. So let me remind you, folks, this is happening while your bread and butter sport, football, and let's couple this with the news a couple weeks ago of 4 straight sellouts of season tickets during this time where it's just been abysmal and proportionally across where we're used to have success for the football program. And this is about all sports, but it's the cash cow. 91.4 million, Austin. That's pretty impressive for the Auburn family to put together.
93.1, but yes, that was 91.4 last year.
2 extra.
Yeah. There you go. 93.1. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure. That's why we couldn't go to Hawaii this year.
Yep.
$93.1 million. Yeah. Like you said, that's with football having the years they've had, and no one's sugarcoating that. You have to think, when football's humming, the wallets are a little more easy to come out, and there's just plenty more opportunities and people willing to jump on some different things that add to that total. So you have to be excited for how that is. I think you have to look at this too, as there's been a lot of different areas that have helped Tigers Unlimited. We talk about all these concerts. We talk about all these different revenue streams that they've been able to create. And this plays a big role in that. So I think that you're going to see those who are most successful in this, and this isn't going straight to NIL, but it funds other things so that money that is being donated to NIL can go strictly to that. But I think you're going to see the more successful programs are the ones who are able to find those unique ways to make more revenue. And $93.1 million in a record-breaking year certainly seems like Auburn's doing a just fine job at that. So let's get them some wins on the field. Let's get some happy feelings, and maybe that number goes up even more next year.
Keep breaking records, man. And if we're doing it now during these times, specifically for football, only the sky's the limit in terms of the support that Auburn family can show in this way, the financial way, but even more. All right, let's roll out of potpourri into our major topics. We tried to do this discussion last week, Austin, and it's inappropriate to do so with the World Cup going on and all that kind of stuff. We got really excited about our conversation last week, so go check that out if you haven't. It was a fun little debate kind of workshopping thing that
Yeah.
took almost 30 minutes. But what we want to do now is continue our series of Auburn Mount Rushmores. And with the World Cup going on, it does feel like this is the perfect time to do this one, and a perfect time for you, the Auburn family, that may not have a familiarity with your Auburn soccer program. You should, because listen, this is what it's about, the whole of the Auburn experience. So this is why we're doing this series, not just about creating, yes, the ultimate Auburn Mount Rushmore, but the different groups that you can do with that. So we've done ones across football, basketball, academic stuff, food stuff recently too. Go check all those out in the series if you have not done so already. We need 4, and we would love to hear from you, 4 different individuals. Yes, I think people don't like 1, 2, 3, 4. That is what a Rushmore is. Not
my kids can do that. You can do it too.
Yes, they can. Not 4. And I just got to add this last one in there. No, 4. That is the Mount Rushmore. And for this purpose, Mount Rushmore of Auburn soccer. So, Austin, I don't even think we need to waste time here. Would you like to count it down and say the first one together? 3,
yes. 3,
2, 1.
Karen Hoppa. Get to the Hoppa. I didn't know which way you were going to go. Get to the Hoppa. Yeah, that's fair. It's a no-brainer, right? Yes. Like this is the Bo Jackson. This is the Mama G's. This is it. You have to know that you have to have seen our other Mount Rushmores to know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
This is the number one, no qualms about it. Karen Hoppa is on Mount Rushmore. She's her tenure alone, like length of time alone, probably gets her on there. But all the success she had, all the goodwill she's gathered among the Auburn family, the wins are there, the All-Americans are there. Karen Hoppa, the name should be on the stadium. Kyle and I don't have to keep going into that. We
get to the Hoppa.
It's really not that hard, Auburn. I mean, I'm willing to do everything I can, sans financially, to help out with this. But it needs to be whatever you want to do. The Hoppa Field at Auburn Soccer Complex, the Hoppa.
I say not Hoppa Field, just the Hoppa. That's just the Hoppa.
I'm willing to allow for anything at this point to just do it. Just do it. Maybe they're waiting on some renovations. Maybe they're waiting on some non-aluminum metal bleachers in the hottest sport season we have at Auburn to change those out to make it the Hoppa. I don't know. It just needs to happen. This is a no-brainer, right?
It is. I mean, if you do not have Karen Hoppa on your Mount Rushmore of Auburn soccer, we can't have a conversation. That's it. It's the Mama G's, it's the Bo Jackson, the Charles Barkley, whatever.
Yes.
And whatever Mount Rushmore of Auburn you're doing, you have to have Karen Hoppa to start off this one. And listen, a lot of that is because of longevity. 26 seasons, 1999 to 2024. Her record 293 to 192 and 60 ties. As much as that pains me to read that one. 7 SEC Western Division titles, 1 SEC regular season title in 2002, the program's first that time, 1 SEC tournament crown in 2011, and 18 NCAA tournament appearances. So, and I forget how long it was, how many years in a row we made it to the NCAA tournament with her. There was a nice little stretch with that too. I mean, she is the foundation of foundation in where the strength was developed for that program. There have been others that have contributed that, and I'm sure had those great moments too. But this is your Shug Jordan. Like, this is the one that held the title for the longest, kind of built your identity, who is around. And
yes,
Karen Hoppa must be the George Washington. Like, there's not even an option for anybody else on this Mount Rushmore. That is the first face that goes up there. And when you see it from now on, you must yell, "Get to the Hoppa!" Like that. I'm going to ingrain that. I think what I'm going to start doing, announcing my presence, which is going to be great because then the SIDs will know when I'm there every time, is I'm just, as I walk through the gates, "Get to the Hoppa!" every single time. But
it needs to happen. I don't know how we get a t-shirt design, but I have to see the Hoppa on the Auburn Soccer Complex.
It's got
before I die, it must happen.
I think there's a few other priorities there that need to happen for you, but hey,
well, sure. I didn't say it was at the top. It's just before I die, the Hoppa needs to be on the Auburn Soccer Complex.
I think we're going to have some agreement here still. And let me give you a hint where I'm heading with this. every position is important in the sport, but I think there's a focal point. There's a quarterback, which is that in football. Wow, Kyle, there's the other football for everything.
The other football, yes.
There's pitching and baseball. You got to have a goalkeeper. So are we going to have agreement there, Austin? I think in this one.
I think I have a separate goalkeeper.
I think I know where you're going then. So here, I will do mine first, and you can, if you like to,
go ahead.
Can.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Would you rather us do? I think we have one more we agree on. Maybe should we do that one first?
Yeah, let's do that one.
Okay, I'll let you lead the way. Then you go ahead.
Well, I want to make sure we're on the same page.
That's why I'm putting you on the spot.
We're talking about our defender. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Miss Alyssa Melanson.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think this is another one that you're not going to see too many people upset about to see mentioned here. Not upset at all. I think that she is your Iron Woman. Played every chance she could. Was one of the ones that was on the field no matter what. Didn't see a lot of injuries. Didn't see a lot of reasons she shouldn't be out there. And was your SEC Defender of the Year, first team All SEC. One of your biggest pro advocates out there. Current pro advocates out there on the U.S. Women's National Team. Was in the first round of the NWSL draft. Yes, I can't remember
20th overall. So I would assume that's the first round.
Yeah.
I don't know how many round picks they have, but yeah,
I think that's right. And so this one of your biggest advocates of pros. I don't want to liken her to anyone else because that's just not fair. I think we were likening Karen Hopp and all those, but I think that was just a separate kind of comparison of like this was. I was more saying that there's no way she's not on the Auburn Mount Rushmore, and so Alyssa Melanson, I think you could make a case is just like that, and certainly has every opportunity and chance to be on here because of what she did on the field and what she's done after Auburn as well.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. You said everything. School record 97 matches in a row, which I have someone that kind of mirrors that, but that's an incredible feat to do that in this sport where you can just have numerous amounts of injuries. You talked about her pro credentials, all that, national team. Because when we have these Mount Rushmore conversations, yes, it is about what they did at Auburn, but it's hard to ignore what people have done post Auburn, either in the sport or as doing something else, like with Charles and his celebrity status now and commentating stuff. That factors in because it's still an advocate for Auburn in that way. So I think Alyssa has a very strong case here. It's a position maybe that people focus on the scores. So SEC Defender of the Year, I love having her as part of our Mount Rushmore. So I'll kind of get us started here. You don't have to give your goalkeeper next, but I'm going to give mine. And I think this is pretty obvious when you look at her stats, and it goes back to probably the strongest point of the Coach Karen Hoppe era, or one of the stronger ones. Megan Rivera, former goalkeeper Auburn. I'm going to give you some stats here. First in GAA, which is goals attempt. I had it written out and I forgot it or got rid of it. 0.81 on that. Third in saves, first in save percentage, second in shutouts. 5 All-American awards, 4 All-SEC honors, freshman of the year in her first year, and she's part of that 2002 SEC championship team. So a lot of accolades there that help her case, and you got to have a goalkeeper, I feel like, on your Mount Rushmore. So she's going to be my representative in that way.
Yes, so my goalkeeper, I agree. My goalkeeper was between her and Megan Rivera because I think she has certainly a stutter case. She was back on that 2002 team. I think that gives her a lot of credence and a lot of credit. I went a little bit later in the Auburn career, just like 10 years later, and went with Amy Howard. Auburn's. She was from 2009 to 2012, I believe. But most career saves in all time in school history. I believe she was second in the SEC history at that time. Had the most minutes her senior year, I think, played as a goalkeeper. And so just a lot of stats. Now, I think the argument here, and that's totally fine. I think that's a just argument to have is Megan's team had the more success, right? Like they had the SEC championship. I'm trying to remember just how far that 2012 team was the NCAA quarterfinal team. I had it.
2012
would have been.
Is it 2011?
I think it was
that
the
it?
second round. No, 2012 would have been the second round team. Yeah, second round. That was that 1-0 loss to Maryland. So, Amy, I think both are very, very deserving. It's really the national or the SEC leading record that was later beaten. She's second now, but that gave her the jump to me over Megan Riviera. But I really don't have a problem with either one.
Well, I mean, even if we're trading goalkeepers here on who's on Mount Rushmore, we both agree that you pretty much have to have one of those
Yes.
on here. If you didn't, you probably don't have, some decent soccer history. So you pick which one you want. I think there's another name of some recency, and she's pretty doing well in her pro career. I'll just throw her name out now, Maddie Prohaska, that probably is going to work her way onto this list if she continues as a pro as well as she did at Auburn.
She made my honorable mention.
Yeah, so she's already in mine too, so that we agree in that way. So my final one, and I guess we differ a little bit on this, and I think this is a little bit of homer me and recency bias, but I'm putting Anna Haddock in there.
Yeah.
She's tied with the school record for 97 matches in a row every single game of her career with Alyssa Melanson, program record in assists. So the reason I liked adding her here is because of longevity, what she did in terms of stability for the program. We think of goal scorers, we think of goalies, but people and sometimes forget about defenders like Alyssa Melanson, but we forget those people that set up the others really well. Because, I mean, she scored the goals herself too. Let's not, forget to say that. But if you can be really good at setting everybody else up, not only does that make you a great teammate, but it can, almost find you a more secure spot on some teams. And we can talk about it in other sports as well, how that factors in. Some of the more sometimes forgotten people are these that give assists like in basketball, but they shouldn't be. So I think this is my homer pick and recency bias pick. I'm gonna have Anna Haddock.
Yeah, that's fair. I like it. I think that, like you said, she made my honorable mention, and I think, like you said, she has had a stellar Auburn career, and certainly has a chance to climb up a lot of people's lists, I think, too. Mine is not that far ago. It's 10 years. I didn't really kind of think about that. It's crazy how time flies.
Time flies when you're getting older, doesn't it?
It's not fun. But I have Casey Ramsey on mine.
I knew it was going to be one of them.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have a lot of fond memories. If you remember that Auburn soccer team they were on, her and her sister, I should say, is who I'm referring to. That was such a cool thing in itself. The Ramsey sisters having as much success as they did. But Casey was on that 2016 team that made it to the quarterfinals. I really, that's like a core memory of mine of you have these moments in the non-big three Auburn sports where everybody kind of rallies around the team, and if you're not following them very closely, maybe you should have, but once they get to that point, it's like everybody's invested in the Auburn family. And so I remember that very well. That was when I was in school. But I mean, she left Auburn with her career all over the record books, first in career game-winning goals, second in matches. I think longevity matters to me a lot on this Mount Rushmore, with just how grueling and how tiring soccer can be. And so to play that many career goals in total, I think she was second when she left. So I don't think, I saw you had her on your honorable mention as well. I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with her on there, but one of Karen Hoppa's several All-Americans too.
Yeah.
Casey Ramsey, I think, is more than deserving to be on Mount Rushmore, if not just off of it.
Here's probably the reason I didn't put her on mine and just an honorable mention, because I couldn't separate her from her sister. And I just felt like I felt bad for it. So she was definitely there. And since you brought it up, Maddie Prohaska, Bree Foles, Katie Frierson are also ones that I threw in there as potentials for being, the higher potentials for being on my list. Anybody else that we failed to mention? Or is that
Bree Foles was the one that I was very close. Very close as well. It's just like when you start looking at these, and like you said, you want to make sure you have a goalkeeper on it. No, that was not a rule you and I set up. It was just kind of like that just feels right, and it feels like you could get away with. It's kind of like if we did baseball, you could get away with just overlooking catchers or relief pitchers or something like that. Goalkeepers, just because they're not always in the action. It just felt right to have one of them on there. And so that kind of limits your options, because you're only left. And then there was Karen Hoppa, without a doubt. So then you're left with two. And so it's a bit trickier than I thought it would be. But also, I think people really are going to be surprised if you want to do your own, send it to us, let us know. I think you're going to be really surprised at just how many candidates there are to be on the Mount Rushmore for Auburn women's soccer.
And to be honest with you, there's a lot of recent ones too. When I say recent, in this last 5 years, that I really had to fight hard not to put on there, and I gave in to the Anna Haddock pick. There are several that could have been even in honorable mentions. We're just throwing the best candidates that we can out there. So for me, Karen Hoppe, Megan Rivera, Alyssa Melanson, Anna Haddock. You were Karen Hoppe, Alyssa Melanson, Howard for Amy Howard. Was Amy Howard?
Yes.
For your goalkeeper, and then you had Casey Ramsier. So those are our candidates in our submissions for Mount Rushmore of Auburn soccer. We want to hear from you. Let us know. And remember, folks, 4, not 5, not 3, 4. Get it right. All right, last major topic this evening. We are going to do, hopefully, a not long-winded and a rapid-fire grading of the 2025-26 Auburn Athletics calendar year. Now, the way I have this set up for us to do, Austin, is for us to do sport by sport. Maybe if there's time, you can even kind of like put them together by season, but that's hard to do with a few of them. So I've kind of divided them up into categories and then maybe a grade for the year. And I think this is a good exercise to do for those of you that love to panic and say that a athletic director needs to be fired. When you actually sit back and look at some of the successes that were happening as a whole, yeah, there are some things that need to be cleaned up, figured out. And I think they're on the way to doing those things. But we're going to talk about, and let's be clear, Austin, I think it's appropriate for us to keep it in the context of from the beginning of that off season to the end of that year. So I don't know that it's fair for us to count like Ken Harnden being just added in. And we're a big fan of that pick. That wouldn't be a fair assessment of that year, him being named the head coach, at least that aspect of it. Is that fair?
That's totally fair. I think that you have to really look at it, where the year was completed. Yeah, and I think that it's completed when competition stops.
All right, so we're going to do this rapid fire as quick as we can, maybe 1 or 2 points. Let's just start with the king of it all in the fall sports, football. Why are you grading it the way you are, and what is your grade? A, B, C, D, F.
Oh dear.
Just get it out of the way. This is the one everybody wants us to do. Let's just go ahead and get it done.
It's the one. I totally understand a lot of people wanting to go total F here, and I would. There's a lot of ways to describe the success. Don't be long-winded, Austin. But I think that I think I'm going to go like a D+ range here. And I think, when you look at Auburn's had another losing season, you fire another coach. There's not a lot more places to go than up. But I think when you look at kind of how the year ended, as far as I think that it's moral victories, like it, sure. But when DJ Durkin took over and kind of the rallying of the team, the selflessness of I know he's gone now, but of Deuce Knight to be willing to play a game for Ashton Daniels to sit so they could give them the best chance to play against the Iron Bowl. Like I think all that has to factor in. That I think you still saw guys. A lot of them are gone now, but I think you still saw guys who went out there and did their best and wanted to represent Auburn well. Regardless of what all they had to go through and what all they had to endure. So regardless, the success of the year was minimal with a lot of expectations going in. But I think D+ is probably where I'll sit with just another losing season.
Yeah, obviously this is not going to be an average. This is like it meets the expectations. It didn't meet expectations. The on the field stuff was a failure, but there were good things happening, as you pointed out. Whether it be, it's kind of like you hearken it somewhat to the Cadillac end of the year with Harsin and things like that, where they kind of salvaged some of the things. But you can't give it a passing grade or a grade that is I guess D is technically passing, but it's not like nobody's happy about it, right? So I'll go D just to have a little bit of variance, because I do want us to be clear. We're not happy with it, but I think that you also have to, it's not like the program imploded and there's nothing left. There was a foundation to work with. Certainly a lot of that changed over, but there it is. Volleyball. I think volleyball is, again, going to be something that a lot of people maybe aren't as familiar with, even though you should be under Coach Eric Crouch. I think
Brent Crouch.
Why I did that the other day, and I was like, why did
who's Eric Crouch?
Brent Crouch. Because I think that's Eric Couch is the quarterback, and I think that's where I get.
Are you related, Coach Crouch? Are you related to Eric Couch by chance?
Sorry, Coach Crouch. I just it slipped out there. And as soon as I said it, I knew Austin was going to get me on it.
They have mentioned they enjoy our content, so I just want them to make sure
we do actually try to pay attention and all that stuff. All right, overall 17-11. You made it to. You had some good moments there. You beat some teams that you're supposed to. You were in the SEC volleyball tournament, but you didn't really get past that. So I think it's another year where you're kind of like, maybe it's a little bit less than what you expected, what you hoped for, given the trajectory they had been on. So I think maybe C- is fine, because you'd like to see a progression forward, and there really didn't, from outside looking in, layman's terms, didn't seem to be that.
Yeah, I like where you're at when you compare it to what preseason expectations were. That's not always fair. There are different circumstances that happen. But I think there was a lot of expectation in this team with how young it has been, that they can take a step forward. There were certainly a lot of fun moments. You took Texas to 5, you took LSU to 5. Just couldn't get over the hump. And then, like you said, you win a game or a match in the SEC tournament, but you lose to Kentucky, one of the beasts of the sport, in straight sets. And so definitely looking for progression. C- is what I had written down too. I think that's just kind of the feeling of it, but I still really encourage people. You set attendance records. I still really encourage people to continue to break those and look for this program in the fall. Just like with Auburn soccer, there's going to be plenty of opportunities, a couple of those football road trips, and see this Auburn volleyball program.
Well, and that's a great segue into soccer with the setting attendance records, things like that. First year under new head coach and Coach Armstrong wasn't great. 5, 6, and 7. Those ties, my goodness. So I want to give some, something for those ties. I just struggled where to go with that. It's a first year. You're a monster of a head coach just left. You got to give him some time. It feels unfair to give them a non-passing grade because we didn't know what to expect. So I think I'll go C- here too, because nobody's happy with a losing season, and those ties I think you can't fully count as a win in that way. So I think I'm going to go C- here too.
Yeah, I had just C. It, not that like that was the expectation I had, but it's just kind of average. I mean, the record's almost exactly the same, or equal, 500 there, wins, losses, and ties. But just so much of kind of the what if with all those ties, and then the LSU game in the SEC tournament, that it was just kind of the heartbreaker that kind of just capped the season off for the program. Like you said, it's hard to believe that was just the first year. It feels like Coach Armstrong's been here, and he has, but you know what I mean, been here longer and setting the stage for something more. So I think they'll walk into this year with certain expectation that there's a bump up. Certainly he's shown he can do it in this conference and in this league at other stops, but I had just right at a C.
So it feels unfair also. We don't have to do it the whole way, but I thought maybe we could do like the season as a whole. But I feel like that's maybe a little bit unfair because the weight of football is going to bring down some of those context of like soccer and volleyball and what they're dealing with. So maybe we'll just pass on that. We could do the whole season, the whole athletics at the end here. Keep moving on. Winter sports, men's basketball, very controversial one. I think that a lot of people are going to differ on this one. I'm going to go probably B- because of the way that the season ended. The expectation now is Auburn makes the NCAA tournament. We didn't do that. So that immediately kind of brings you down to like, since you made some type of postseason play, maybe like an average score there, but what they had to deal with in terms of, certain expectations, changing over a head coach, and the way that they responded at the end of the year, winning the NIT national championship. The NIT championship is a national championship in a way. I've got to give them a B- for my grade.
I think that's totally fair. And like you said, a lot of people are going to differ on this. There's things that move the needle, though, of those expectations. Like you said, you get a new coach about a month before the season starts. Sure, he's been here, but he's first-time head coach anywhere. And you get a lot of guys who, did not agree to play for just Stephen Pearl as their head coach. So there's one thing that kind of gives you the expectations to simmer down a little bit. And then you, like you said, you have the expectation of making a tournament. Well, you don't, but then you go through and you win it. You win the entirety of the NIT, and kind of put up or shut up with how disappointed you were in not making the tournament. So it was an up and down year, very hard conference or very hard schedule, obviously out of conference or obviously in conference, but also out of conference. and they managed to get through it with the most wins by a first year head coach in a program's history. Also controversial for some of you for some reason, but I had it right at like a C plus. I'll just differ down one for you for B minus. Really, just for not making the tournament. I think you could make a case they should have anyway.
Yeah,
and we certainly debated that enough a few months ago. But I'll have or a C. Did I say C minus? I meant C plus.
C plus. I think you said it kind of back and forth. I heard C plus the most. Yeah. Austin women's basketball. It wasn't, a great year. It's the first year for Coach Larry Vickers. First years are hard to measure out. What do you got for a grade on them?
Well, Coach Vickers, like we just talked about with men's basketball previously, is that Coach Vickers is also a brand new coach. He had a little more lead time to finding out he was the head coach than Stephen Pearl, but I think that you saw some good things. You beat your rival in your first year. I'm not sure we're going to find anyone else on this list who can say they did that in their first year. And so Coach Vickers gets that to his name. And I think he brought a lot more energy to the program than a lot of people thought. I think I was high on this team. I admit that. And I said that a lot during the beginning of their season. But I think that there's something moving in the right direction for Coach Vickers and his program. So, but obviously it's a gauntlet. It's one of these that we say this all the time. SEC is brutal, but in women's basketball, it just so happens to be just one of the worst. And so I'll give it, a losing record, but I'll give it like I hate to do this, but I'll give it like a C minus.
I'm gonna go C minus to 15 and 17 on the year. You don't want to really reward losing record with the understanding of it's the first year. You did listen. Baseball didn't beat Alabama. Football didn't beat Alabama. Men's basketball didn't beat Alabama. Swimming and diving didn't beat Alabama. Soccer did. Anyway, here's the point.
They probably tied.
All that to be said, they were one of the few that did this year, and so that counts for something. So that's our assessment of Coach Larry Vickers and their first year as part of all grading all these things on that one. Swimming and diving is going to be hard for us and for a lot of us to grade because there is the standard of Auburn men's and women's swimming diving historically of competing for national championships and things like that. So these sports are difficult because of the individual accomplishments along with the team accomplishments, and those can vary wildly sometimes. Even you could have like one amazing athlete in one specific event, and then the rest of the team's just kind of in the middle of the pack on the SEC and things like that. Just gauging it the best I can, Austin. I'm going to go probably C on this one. I have heard some conversations from people that would like this, feels like this should make a next step forward, but I'm not going to feel adequate enough to speak further on it. So I'm just going to go C average on this. They're competing. They're doing the best they can. That's where I'm going to go with. That's
certainly fine with me. I it's something that maybe we should be better at on understanding. And I think we've certainly done a good job of celebrating the successes that have come. And it's a storied program. I think a lot of people feel passionate about and want to see return to those heights. And so I can understand the frustration, but I think that right where Auburn looks to me is about average. So I'm with you.
Let's one more in the winter sports, and I think this is probably going to be the one that brings people down a little bit. And there's the context of changing head coaches at the end of the year, and that kind of speaks to it a little bit. You have a program that struggled in his final year. Some of that was really close, some of it really wasn't. They didn't win a single meet on the road, only one at home. 5-22 on the year. It was a rough year, so I think. This is probably the closest I've been to giving an F, and as much as I love Coach Graba, I think that kind of speaks to why maybe the change was made, and there was a lot of people upset with that change. It kind of dropped off a little bit. So I don't like giving Fs, but I think just for maybe some what's the word I'm looking for? So I'm not a homer for everything. I think I will go this way and say this is an F.
Yeah, I think I understand it. I think that, the win-loss in gymnastics, and I said this all throughout the season, it doesn't mean you can't just look at just that. And I know many of our people understand that, but I think that when you look at the scoring and how they did, they weren't able to really match up with those in the SEC and what this program's come to expect in recent years. And so, like you said, there were injuries too. I think that factors in, but the program seems, especially where it was just a few years ago, seems to have really fallen. I think there's a lot of hope and excitement for what's coming with Coach Roberts and the staff he's built, the transfers he's brought in, and things like that. And so I think there's really good solid footing for this team. But I think that, an F is fair, D- is fair for where this team is, because I think a lot of people, just like swimming and just like women's basketball and all these others, when there's a lot of passion to see them get back to what they should be.
Yeah. So that'll wrap us up in the winter sports, spring sports, and there's a lot of ones that go across all this. So we're going to have to rapid fire here, really. But for baseball and softball, the ones that people pay attention to the most in the spring, let's start with baseball. This one had a lot of expectations to start the year. I know, and it's a lot of recency. It hurts real bad. But, and I hate that we predicted it to a T, Austin. We did. I mean, they weren't let's be honest, who beat us in the Super Regional wasn't like the Coastal Carolina last year, but it still was a good team. And it just, we kind of predicted the whole thing. I got to go A-, just because I feel like the team's potential was just slightly better than the ending showed.
Yeah, A- is good with me. A B+ if you want to be pessimistic on just the offense really not just being there at the very end and kind of a repeat of the previous year, but the highs were high, right? In the season, and it just ended again in Plainsman Park. But B+, I'll go B+ just to be different from you.
There you go. Softball is one I think that you got to pay attention to because the year was not great. Year 2 of the Malveaux record-wise was not great. It was a losing record. Didn't make it to the NCAA tournament for the first time in so many years, but had a great ending in the SEC tournament. And yeah, I know that doesn't make up for everything, but it counts for something. And they had, decent start in non-conference competition. The SEC is just tough, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I'll go D+ on this, just because it's not meeting expectations. You didn't have a winning record, but you did something. So I'll go D+, as much as I don't like giving that.
Yeah, there is some recency right there, right? Like with the SEC tournament and the fun that was, and you thought that maybe this team could get out of the D range maybe in our grades for that. But like you said, I think there was a lot of hope that this team could take a big step in the second year of the Malveaux, and with the pitching and with the kind of springboard that was their year 1. But I've got it as a D- just because I think that it was just not great. There was a lot of bad losses, that one in particular, to those out west and UCLA. But there's some bad losses that you hoped you would see more of a, improvement in posture and productivity in year 2. So I think there's a lot of people looking forward to seeing something come out of this program in year 3.
Absolutely. So these last ones here are ones that go across lots of seasons for the most part. So you got to remember there's indoor track and field, outdoor track and field, there's indoor tennis, all that stuff. It varies a little bit. So with as quick a pace as we can do here, equestrian, SEC tournament, SEC regular season title, I think is what it was. How did that go? I forgot.
I know. I'm pulling it up. I'm trying to.
Because their season ended great, and they lost in the SEC championship.
Yes,
South Carolina to A&M, and then they got past the first round of the NCEA championship, which hadn't happened in a while. As good as they've been, I'm gonna go because they were pretty dominant throughout the entirety of the season.
Yeah,
I'll go A-. Yeah, I'll go A-. I almost went B+. I'll go A-.
Yeah, I'll go A- too. I like you said, it was A&M in South Carolina. That just A&M took them out in the SEC championship. They'd already split with them in the regular season. The week before, they dominated them, or 2 weeks before, they dominated them at home. And then, like you said, in the NCEA, the second round, they lose to South Carolina, who and not like a super upset, but one they should have won, and they'd already split with them as well in the regular season. So it's kind of unfortunate. You catch someone on a bad day. But this program, I think, is, I don't think they've missed too many beats from losing Greg Williams and now in the next regime. And so A- is good with me. This is still one of Auburn's most dominant programs.
Yeah. And keep in mind with these next ones here, there's men's and women's. So sometimes that can really, if you're going to combine them, it can drastically change things here. But I don't think there's going to be too much of a drop off on either one, any of these. Track and field, maybe, because the men were just so good with Jacoby Tharp, world record breaker, national champions, things like that. it's hard to not look at the track and field program as a whole, though, and go just solid A. I think, maybe the women need to come up a little bit more. And if you're going to put the two together, I'm just going to go solid A, because there's the highs and there's just kind of, doing what you're expected to do at this point in the final year of what was going to be Coach Leroy Burrell.
I don't think you can go lower than A-. I really don't. I think that the men obviously have done a phenomenal job. I think everybody was hoping that maybe a top 5, top 3 finish at NCAAs would come as a team. But obviously you have all the national championships, all the record breakers there. And then the women are just come up a little bit, but have their own specialists that have done phenomenal. And so I think the program as a whole is doing a great job. And so A- is bare minimum for me.
Yeah. I'm going to go for tennis, A+ across the board.
Yes.
For the women, who nearly won a national title, still stings. The men, who also had a good year and made a little bit of noise in the NCAA tournament,
Yes.
kind of had a little magic going there with both of them for a little while. So I'm going to go A+ for both of them.
I couldn't agree. I think we're going to end with 2 great ones here. But I think A+ is that way for me too. That Kyle and I stayed here with you all for that Texas A&M loss, the national championship. But that should not discount, and I'm not going to take anything away from them for getting to that stage and almost getting it done. So yeah. I've got an A+ as well.
And for golf, same thing here. Very similar stories. Just flip the men and the women's storylines there. Jackson Coyven, all that kind of stuff. Anna Davis and what they did as individual winners on the same year. That's if I could give an A++, which I think, you know what? It's our show. I don't care. I'm going to give an A++ to Coach Llewellyn, to Coach Kleiner, Jackson Coyven, Anna Davis, all the men, all the women, all the support staff. Y'all were the shining example of this year, I think, across the board. So A++ to them.
That I'm good with it. A++. It's his show. It's his network. So why not?
Right. So I think what you can kind of see there, fall wasn't great. Winter was very hit or miss. The spring pretty decent, for the most part, especially when you count in some of the ones that have the cross seasons that are active in the spring too. I think that's how you look at that. So I think this is a tough one to average out here. We had like I said, a lot of A's there at the end. I think we were really dancing with very few F's and D-. What's your gut telling you want to lean on grading? Finally, gut reaction, Auburn Athletics 2025-26. What's your final grade for them?
It's probably around the C+ range, right? Maybe B- if you feel pretty good. I think if you want to put the numbers on, B- for me is the 81-80 range.
Yeah.
C+ like 79-78. I'm somewhere right on that 79-80, I think. I don't think you can discount a national championship. I don't think you can discount a national runner-up. I don't care if they're not your favorite sports. I don't care if they're not the big 3, if they're revenue sports. And a top 5 finish or top 6 finish in track and field. And so I think those still hold a lot of water for me. The big 3, obviously, we would all love to see collectively do better. And I think Auburn at its whole is at its best. We just talked about that with fundraising, is at its best when the big 3 do better, especially the cash cow. But I don't think you should ever discount a national championship or the ones that get that close. So I'll say B- at like an 81. We'll go 81.
You're talking me. I think it's fair for us all to acknowledge the big 3, especially the first of those 2. One not great at all, hardly. One strong towards the end, stronger towards the end. And baseball was, didn't.
I'm taking baseball out of it. Yeah, I think that we wanted to go to Omaha, but I don't think.
Yeah,
I'm not looping them into the failures of the big 3.
But trying to kind of merge those together, I could understand where people just taking those 3 would go maybe C- or lower because of that.
Sure.
So I think you have to kind of factor in and then take everything else into account. But there's so much good stuff, especially in these sports that go across the entire year. You have a national title. You were this close to having another one. You had a world record holder. All these things happen. So call me a homer, things like that. I'm going to go with you. You've taught me. I'm going to go B- on the year. I know some of you aren't going to like that, and that's okay because we're trying to help you be better versions of yourself here on this show. But, that's what I'm going to go B-. And I think it could have been a lot better in a lot of ways, but there was a lot of good this year that needs to be talked about more. And I'm thankful that we get the opportunity to do that here.
Agreed.
Well, that's it. That's our grades for the year. We'd love to hear yours. Probably a lot of controversy there. So Y'all have it out in the comments, I guess. But that's also the end of our episode 180. Thank you all for sticking with us through that fun exercises that we get to do during the summer. If you want to keep up with me, do so on all the social media accounts for E2C Network. DMs are open. E2CNetwork@gmail.com is a great way to contact me via an email and the network as a whole. Austin, where can they find you?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on most of the socials. Just let me know where I'm wrong, what I'm right about. Preferably more of the latter.
Yes, if you can find something he's right about in here somewhere, let him know about it.
Good luck.
Good luck. Thank you all for being here and participating with us. As we go, I remind you the Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. We're going to ask you to do the same thing. War Eagle.
War Eagle.